Greetings everyone, and welcome to the final video for In Another League. So as you remember last time, the Le Mans event wasn't all that eventful, apart from lap 1, because lap 1, that pass, and this battle which started out good, but then ended crappily as I was shoved right off, reset, and that was where I finished. It took steward action just to even right that, but yeah. Daytona started off pretty decently though. I managed to qualify on pole, in AM, and 8th overall. So things were looking pretty decent at least. Now, on to the race. And so, there we were, on the starting line. And thankfully, this was not like Gran Turismo 6 or Gran Turismo 5, so no nightmares on the banking. However, remember how long where I had the lightning start? Well, that didn't happen here. Instead, everybody just, well, the opposite happened. Everybody got their lightning start there, and a little bump there going into this corner, but that was where everything went. What I didn't realize was that Cross having this moment.
He's done that wrong.
Oh yeah, I meant a little bit of maneuvering around, and I just did manage to give Fury a good slap messing with the weather earlier in the year. Anyway, by the time second lap came around, I was chasing down 10th place when he went a little too early to my liking, and I had to dodge it. And then he got a bit of squeeze himself there. Just a bit much. But later on, look what we found.
You can't park this, huh?
It's the AM champion there, who won just by virtue of, well, seemingly doing good enough, and no one else really giving him a regular challenge all that much. However, he was having a less than stellar champion's drive today there. The less said about his racecraft, the better. Although, at least in this portion, it didn't seem like he was doing anything too out of place here. However, of course, it wouldn't really matter. It wouldn't matter too much if he got those positions, because then he had this moment going into turn 1, and somehow managing to have less of a bad time than he could have had. And another angle here, and just barely a kiss on the wall there. But just seemed like a problem just with the race in general at this point, because even I was not immune to it. Even went off at the same part that he did earlier. I don't know what it was, but just getting on the brakes, you'd think they'd stop. But yet they don't, so
shit.
Pretty much my reaction to this happening. Now, of course, this right here, this is Fox here, one of the competitors there who normally just was never really there to challenge our champ there. But today's race, though, seemed to be one of his best performing ones here. Certainly in the mix for it, and at that point, I believe either leading AM or at least second in AM. Probably second in AM, if I remember AM was. But while that was happening, going on, I came across our champion once again having a less than champion's kind of drive as, well, yeah, just drove right into the wall there. Seemed like, once again, this track at this time biting him. This time a little worse. Of course, a few laps later, there was this little tussle, and, well, our trailers across turned to experience this. So it seemed like it just a laggy hit or somehow where that happened, and not too surprising considering it's this car again. What this meant for me was I came across quite the scene and had to do quite a bit of dodging as a car spinning on rejoining the track, and meant that not only did Cross have to do some dodging, but so did I. So it was that moment. Not ideal. Of course, with that, we had Fox here leading the AM class there. So again, doing a pretty good job of himself there. And we're going to keep focused on him because, well, later on, there's something that's going to happen. And yeah, while he's having a good moment now, it's not going to last. Meanwhile, I was starting to get right up there, and this time to the pro Mercedes that I had been battling multiple times in other races, whose name I also have no idea how to say properly, so I'm just going to avoid saying it entirely. But anyway, I was catching pretty quickly there. And as you can see with the gearing, and I even went out of the draft a few times to really test this, that gearing was really helping me get right on to the back of the car and run. This is probably the first time I've enjoyed having the gearing working this well for me. But definitely not the first time I've enjoyed having a car work this well. Anyhow, had a bit of a moment here in the bus stop, and that allowed me to get around there to the bus stop. And, well, with that, combined with the draft and the gearing, that was pretty much ideal conditions for a pass on the outside. What I was not, however, paying attention to all that much was the fact that John, in one of the pro Audis here, was catching pretty quickly. Caught so quickly, in fact, that he managed to pull off this nutty 3-wide pass between both Mercedes. That was quite the bit of a jump scare there. No, I was expecting to go for that pass. I didn't think he'd make that fit or even attempt it, but, well, we did. We all came out alive somehow, but still better than what we seem to see all the Verstappen imitators do all the time. So remember that leader in AM that we were talking about, that I was trying to catch up to? Well, he unintentionally made it easier by having that, and then, well... So this meant I had to do a little bit of dodging here. But with that, and a little bit of a slip, I was now the class leader in AM. So, just as nutty as it was earlier for me to lose the lead in the class and witness all the chaos happening, that same chaos would also work in my favor, giving me the AM lead. It was at this point where I had a bit of a light bulb moment. See, John here, he's usually much quicker than me, and today I have an absurdly good car with good gearing. And so I had the thought of just drafting him along, pushing him up, and maybe this would get us much closer to the cars in front of us. And I think there was even a point where he audibly told me that we were actually making up time to those cars there. So this seemed like a pretty good thing. I didn't fight him too hard, in fact pushed him forward, he gained time, and I also gained time in doing so. And that was definitely helping quite a lot there. And we were making pretty good time. This lasted until the pit stops. First he himself, and then I, along with the car that I was chasing, who I was right up there with. Now, having done a little bit of math as I was coming in here, I calculated that I could probably get at least one more lap of fuel in there before I securely felt I'd be good enough for the rest of the race. It's not too dissimilar to what happened at Deep Forest earlier in the year, and in fact it was actually an almost similar scenario. About 15 or so laps left, and pretty much calculating how much fuel I needed at that point. So it seemed like familiar ground for me. Now, the deficit was quite big at first, around 8 to 10 seconds maybe. This time, of course, I didn't have anybody to draft off of, so I would have to write down all that time myself. I would have to put my head down, drive as hard as I possibly could to try to bring down that gap. Now, thankfully, I did bring that down quite significantly. In fact, by the end of the race, I had gone from that 12-second or so deficit and brought it down to about 2 or 3 seconds. So I was definitely making some time. Unfortunately, there was not enough time to make that a battle for position. So this is how it would end. But I'm fine with it. Finished where I started. Class win. 8th overall. Top 10. End of the season. End of the video. And now into the series there. And why did this series? Didn't end up having much fun making the videos, just sort of lost motivation there, and well, my time management skills were pretty much on display, so I think it's about time to stop doing that when the views just aren't really rolling in. So that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you want to see more content in general, feel free to subscribe. So anyhow, that's it for me, and I will see you guys in the next video.